My name is Michael and I want to tell you a story that changed my life forever. This is a story about trust, deception, and how the people you love most can cause you the greatest pain. It's a story I never thought I'd be telling, but here we are. Everything started 3 years ago when I married Jessica. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever met, long blonde hair, blue eyes, and a smile that could melt any heart. We met at a coffee shop where she worked, and I was just a regular customer who ordered coffee every day before work. Our love developed quickly. After 6 months we were living together. After a year I proposed. The wedding was modest but happy. Jessica left her job at the coffee shop and started working at an advertising agency. I worked as a programmer at an IT company, and together we had enough money for a comfortable life. The first 2 years of marriage were perfect. We traveled, dreamed about children, and made plans for the future. Jessica was a caring wife, always cooked my favorite food, was interested in my work, supported me in everything. I thought I was the luckiest man alive. But then something started to change. At first it was little things. Jessica began staying late at work more often, started paying more attention to her appearance, buying new lingerie and clothes. When I asked about it, she said she just wanted to look better for me. I believed her because why wouldn't I? Then came strange phone calls. When I answered the phone, whoever was calling would immediately hang up. Jessica explained these as wrong numbers or connection problems. I believed her because I had no reason not to trust my wife. The next strange thing was her sudden trips to her mother's house. Every weekend she would go help mom with housework, or spend time with family. At first, I was even happy that my wife was such a caring daughter. But over time, I began to wonder why she never invited me to come along. One day I decided to unexpectedly visit her mother to congratulate her on her birthday. When I arrived, my mother-in-law looked at me with surprise. "Michael, where's Jessica? Isn't she with you?" "What do you mean not with me?" "She said she was coming to visit you for the weekend." My mother-in-law's face became worried. "Son, Jessica hasn't been here for 3 months." I was even worried about why she calls so rarely. This moment was the turning point. I felt like the ground was disappearing from under my feet. If Jessica wasn't visiting her mother, where was she spending all these weekends? I started watching more carefully. I noticed that she began using her phone more often, but always went to another room when it rang. Her work delays became more frequent and longer. Sometimes she came home with the scent of someone else's perfume. The worst thing was that our intimate relationship almost disappeared. Jessica always found excuses, headaches, fatigue, problems at work. When I tried to hug her, she would gently but firmly push me away. Our conversations became superficial, limited to daily routines and practical matters. One evening I decided to take action. When Jessica said she was going to a corporate party from work, I decided to check. I drove to her agency building. It was dark, no corporate parties were being held. The parking lot was empty, the building was clearly closed for the night. I started following her. It was painful and humiliating, but I had to know the truth. The first few times nothing special happened. She really went shopping or met with friends. But then, everything changed. On Friday evening, I was driving past one of the expensive restaurants in the city center. And there, through the large glass window, I saw my wife. She was sitting at a table opposite a man I had never seen before. Tall, dark-haired, in an expensive suit. They were holding hands, looking into each other's eyes, and everything about their body language spoke of intimacy. My world fell apart. I sat in the car across from the restaurant and watched my wife kiss another man. They looked in love, happy. The way she and I used to look at the beginning of our relationship. The way I thought we still looked. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to burst into the restaurant and cause a scene. But I just sat there watching my life fall apart. I watched as they laughed together, as he touched her hand, as she smiled at him with the same smile I thought was reserved for me. When Jessica came home that night, she was cheerful and relaxed. She said she had a wonderful time with colleagues, showed me photos from what she claimed was the corporate party, which I now understood were taken on a different day. She kissed me goodnight as if nothing had happened. The next few weeks were hell. I knew the truth, but I didn't know how to deal with it. I watched my wife continue to deceive me with a smile on her lips. She told me about her day, kissed me goodnight, made breakfast, and all this time she was living a double life. I started noticing details that I hadn't paid attention to before. New earrings that she said she bought herself. An expensive bracelet that was a gift from a friend. A change of hairstyle, new perfumes, new lingerie. All of these were gifts from her lover, I realized. The most painful thing was realizing that she was happy. Jessica blossomed, became even more beautiful, more confident. This betrayal was giving her something she apparently wasn't getting from me. She was glowing with the kind of happiness I hadn't seen in her for months. I tried to change to become a better husband. I bought her flowers, organized romantic dinners, paid more attention to her needs. But it was too late. She had already given her heart to someone else. My efforts felt desperate and pathetic, like trying to win back someone who had already made their choice. One day I found a text message on her phone while she was taking a shower. The message was from James. "Can't wait for our trip to Paris next month. Love you." Paris. She had told me she was going on a business trip. She even showed me fake documents from work. How many years of planning and deception did this require? How long had she been living this elaborate lie? I realized I could no longer endure this. I had to act. But first I wanted to learn more about this James. I needed to understand who had stolen my wife's heart, who had destroyed my marriage. It turned out finding him wasn't that difficult. James Wilson, 35 years old, owner of a chain of gyms, divorced, 2 children. According to his social media profiles, he was a successful and attractive bachelor. He looked like everything I wasn't: confident, wealthy, charismatic. The most terrible discovery awaited me when I dug deeper into their relationship. Jessica had a separate social media profile that I didn't know about. There she posted photos with James, wrote about their travels, about love. They had been together for more than a year. All this time, while I thought we were a happy married couple, she was living another life. Every kiss, every "I love you," every moment of supposed intimacy, all of it was a lie. She was comparing me to him, choosing him over me every single day. But the biggest shock awaited me when I saw their plans. In private messages, Jessica wrote to James that she would soon tell me everything and ask for a divorce. They were planning to get married in the summer. She had already picked out a dress, they had looked at venues, they had made plans for a honeymoon. She had already decided everything. I was just an obstacle that needed to be removed at a convenient time. I was a problem to be solved, not a husband to be loved. The realization hit me like a physical blow. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay next to my wife, who was sleeping peacefully, and thought about our life. About all those moments that I considered sincere and real. Was there even anything real in them? Had she ever truly loved me, or was I always just a placeholder until someone better came along? In the morning I made a decision. While Jessica was at work, I packed her things. Everything neatly, carefully. Clothes, cosmetics, books, even those gifts I had given her. I put the suitcases by the door and waited. When she returned in the evening, she froze when she saw the suitcases. "Michael, what does this mean?" "It means I know everything about James." Her face turned pale. For a few seconds she was silent, then quietly said, "How long have you known?" "Long enough." "The question isn't how long I've known. The question is how long you were going to lie to me." Jessica sat on the couch, burying her face in her hands. For a moment I almost felt sorry for her. She looked small and vulnerable. But then I remembered the photos with James, the secret messages, the year of lies. I didn't want it to happen this way. It just happened. A year isn't just happened, Jessica. A year of lies, deception, double life. That's a choice. That's a deliberate, calculated decision to betray everything we had. She looked up and I saw tears in her eyes. But I could no longer sympathize. Those tears felt manipulative, like another tool in her arsenal of deception. "I wanted to tell you. I was planning to. I just didn't know how." "When? Before your wedding with him?" She flinched. "So I also knew about the wedding plans." We talked for another 2 hours. Jessica tried to explain, make excuses, asked for forgiveness. She said she was confused, that it wasn't exactly what she wanted. But I heard only words. There were no real feelings behind them. Even now, caught in her lies, she couldn't be completely honest. She tried to minimize everything, to make it seem like it was just a mistake, a moment of weakness. But I had seen the evidence. I knew about the year of planning, the secret life, the wedding preparations. This wasn't a mistake. This was a carefully orchestrated betrayal. "Do you love him?" I asked at the end. A long pause. Then a quiet yes. "Did you ever really love me?" Another pause, even longer. "Once, yes. But we changed, Michael. We became different people." Maybe she was right. Maybe we really had become different people. But I could have accepted that if she had been honest. If she had told me that love had passed, that she wanted a divorce. But instead she chose lies and betrayal. The conversation went in circles. She kept trying to justify her actions, to make me understand her perspective. But what was there to understand? She had chosen to deceive me for a year instead of having one difficult conversation. She had chosen to live a lie instead of facing the truth. Jessica took her things that same night. She said she would stay at James's place for a while, until she found her own apartment. We both knew it was a lie. She wasn't planning to look for her own apartment. She was moving in with her new life, leaving the old one behind without a second thought. The next few months passed like in a fog. Divorce proceedings, division of property, lawyers. All of this seemed unreal, as if it was happening to someone else. I moved through the motions mechanically, signing papers, attending meetings, but feeling disconnected from everything. Friends and family offered support, but how do you explain the depth of betrayal? How do you make someone understand that it wasn't just the cheating, it was the year of lies, the elaborate deception, the complete reconstruction of reality? She hadn't just betrayed me, she had made me question everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and marriage. The worst part was the gaslighting I realized had been happening. All those times I had sensed something was wrong, all those moments when my intuition told me something was off, and she had made me feel crazy for thinking it. She had been so convincing, so skilled at making me doubt my own perceptions that I started seeing a therapist to deal with the trauma. Dr. Sarah Martinez helped me understand that what I had experienced wasn't just infidelity, it was emotional abuse. The systematic lying, the manipulation, the gaslighting, all of it had left deep psychological wounds that would take time to heal. Trust, Dr. Martinez explained, is like a mirror. Once it's broken, you can put the pieces back together, but you'll always see the cracks. She was right. Even now, years later, I find it difficult to trust completely, to believe that someone's words match their actions. Jessica tried to contact me once during the divorce proceedings. She called, crying, saying she was sorry, that she wished things could have been different. But when I asked if she was willing to end things with James and try to start over, she went silent. Even in her apology, she wasn't willing to give up what she had chosen over me. The divorce was finalized 6 months after that terrible night when I packed her bags. We split our assets, sold the house we had bought together, divided up the remnants of our shared life. It was all very civilized and businesslike, which somehow made it even more painful. Our marriage ended not with passion or drama, but with signatures on legal documents. A year after our divorce, I learned that they had gotten married. A small ceremony, only the closest friends. No pomp and luxury like she once dreamed about with me. I wondered if she remembered our own wedding, if she felt any guilt standing at another altar, making the same promises she had broken with me. I found out through mutual friends who thought I should know. They were careful with their words, watching my reaction, ready to comfort me if I broke down. But surprisingly, I felt nothing. No pain, no anger, just a kind of empty acknowledgement that a chapter of my life had truly closed. 2 years after the divorce, I started dating again. It was terrifying at first. How do you open your heart to someone when the last person you trusted completely had shattered it? But slowly, carefully, I began to rebuild my capacity for trust and love. I met Emily at a bookstore. She was browsing the psychology section, reading about recovering from trauma. As it turned out, she had her own story of betrayal, her own journey of healing. We understood each other in ways that people who hadn't experienced such deep deception couldn't. Our relationship developed slowly, built on a foundation of honesty and communication. We talked about everything, our fears, our past hurts, our hopes for the future. It was the kind of relationship I thought I had with Jessica, but this time it was real. Emily never pushed me to trust faster than I was ready to. She understood when I needed reassurance, when I needed space, when I needed to talk through my fears. She was patient with my healing process, even when it meant dealing with my occasional suspicions and need for transparency. 3 years after my divorce, Emily and I moved in together. It was a big step for me, sharing a living space again, making myself vulnerable to that level of intimacy. But it felt different this time. There were no secrets between us, no hidden phones or mysterious absences. Just honest communication and mutual respect. Today, 4 years have passed since that terrible discovery. I still think about Jessica sometimes, but not with the pain I once felt. I think about her with a kind of detached curiosity. How is she doing? Is she happy with the choices she made? Does she ever think about what we had and what she destroyed? Through mutual acquaintances, I've heard bits and pieces about her life. She and James divorced after 2 years of marriage. Apparently, he cheated on her with someone from his gym. The irony wasn't lost on me. The man who helped her betray me eventually betrayed her in the same way. I felt no satisfaction in her pain, no sense of cosmic justice. If anything, I felt sad for her. She had thrown away a marriage, a committed relationship, for something that turned out to be just as flawed as what she left behind. She had gambled everything on a fantasy and lost. But more than that, I realized she had never learned the real lesson. According to friends, she blamed James entirely for their divorce, just as she had blamed me for the problems in our marriage. She still hadn't taken responsibility for her choices, still hadn't understood that betrayal is about the betrayer, not the betrayed. Sometimes people ask me if I regret marrying her. Honestly, no. Those 3 years, even with all the pain at the end, taught me a lot. I learned what real trust means, how important honesty is in relationships, how to recognize genuine feelings versus manipulation. More importantly, I learned about my own strength. I survived the complete destruction of my understanding of love and marriage. I rebuilt my life from scratch. I learned to trust again. That knowledge, that confidence in my own resilience, is worth more than the pain it cost. I also learned to trust my instincts. All those times I felt something was wrong, all those moments when my intuition screamed that something wasn't right, I had been correct. I've promised myself never again to ignore those inner warnings, never again to let someone convince me that my perceptions are wrong when they feel right. The experience changed my definition of love. Real love, I now understand, isn't just about passion and romance. It's about honesty, commitment, choosing your partner every day even when it's difficult. It's about facing problems together instead of looking for solutions in someone else's arms. Jessica taught me that some people are capable of living double lives, of compartmentalizing their emotions so completely that they can betray someone while still claiming to love them. It's a frightening realization about human nature, but an important one. Emily and I got engaged last month. It was nothing like my proposal to Jessica. No grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Instead, we were sitting on our couch on a quiet Sunday morning, reading together, and I realized I wanted to spend every Sunday morning like that for the rest of my life. "Will you marry me?" I asked, setting down my book. She looked up, smiled, and said, "I've been wondering when you were going to ask." It was perfect in its simplicity, honest in its quiet certainty. No games, no drama, just two people who had found real love choosing to commit to each other. Our wedding is planned for next spring. It will be small, intimate, focused on the commitment we're making rather than the spectacle. We're writing our own vows, and I know mine will include promises about honesty, communication, and choosing each other every day. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if Jessica had been honest with me from the beginning. If she had come to me when she first started having doubts about our marriage, if she had told me she was developing feelings for someone else. Could we have worked through it? Could we have saved our marriage? I'll never know, and I've made peace with that. What I do know is that she chose deception over honesty, betrayal over communication. She chose to protect herself at the cost of destroying me. Those were her choices and I can't change them. But I can control how I move forward. I can choose to love again, to trust again, to build something beautiful from the ashes of what was destroyed. I can choose to be the kind of partner I wish she had been, honest, faithful, committed to working through problems instead of running from them. The saddest part of the whole experience wasn't the betrayal itself. It was realizing that the woman I loved, the woman I married, may never have actually existed. The Jessica I fell in love with might have been a carefully constructed persona, designed to get what she wanted. The real Jessica was someone capable of year-long deceptions and elaborate lies. That realization was perhaps more devastating than discovering the affair. An affair could have been a mistake, a moment of weakness, something we might have been able to work through. But a year of systematic deception, of looking me in the eyes and lying, of making me feel crazy for trusting my instincts, that revealed something about her character that couldn't be fixed or forgiven. As I write this, I'm sitting in the home Emily and I share, watching her grade papers at the kitchen table. She's a teacher, like Jessica was supposed to be before she chose advertising. But unlike Jessica, Emily is exactly who she appears to be. There are no secret phones, no mysterious absences, no elaborate lies. When Emily says she loves me, I believe her because her actions match her words. When she says she'll be home at a certain time, she is. When she goes out with friends, she tells me where she's going and comes home when she says she will. It sounds simple, but after Jessica, these basic acts of honesty feel like miracles. I've learned that love isn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It's about consistency, reliability, choosing your partner even when it's not exciting or easy. It's about being the same person in private that you are in public, about meaning what you say and saying what you mean. Jessica made her choices and she has to live with the consequences. I've heard she's dating someone new now, another divorced businessman. I hope, for his sake and hers, that she's learned something from her past mistakes. I hope she's capable of the honesty and commitment that real love requires. As for me, I'm building something new and beautiful with someone who deserves my trust. Emily and I aren't perfect. We have disagreements, moments of frustration, times when we have to work hard to understand each other. But we face these challenges together with honesty and respect. That's the difference between a real relationship and the illusion I had with Jessica. Real relationships involve work, compromise, and difficult conversations. They require you to show up even when you don't feel like it, to choose your partner even when someone more exciting comes along. Jessica taught me what I don't want in a relationship. Emily is teaching me what I do want. Together, these experiences have shaped me into someone capable of real love, both giving and receiving it. The phone call stopped years ago. The mysterious text messages, the unexplained absences, the feeling of living with a stranger, all of that is in the past. What remains is the knowledge that I survived, that I can trust my instincts, and that real love is possible if both people are willing to be honest and do the work. Sometimes I still have moments of doubt, times when old wounds ache and I worry that I'm being naive again. But Emily understands these fears and helps me work through them. She's patient with my healing process, secure enough in our relationship to handle my occasional need for reassurance. The betrayal changed me, but it didn't break me. It made me more careful but also more appreciative of genuine love. It taught me the difference between words and actions, between promises and commitment. Most importantly, it taught me that I'm strong enough to survive even the most devastating betrayal and still open my heart to love again. Jessica made her choice 3 years ago when she decided to build a relationship with James while still married to me. I made my choice when I decided not to let her betrayal define the rest of my life. We're both living with the consequences of those choices now. I hope she's happy. I genuinely do. Not because I've forgiven her, I'm not sure I ever fully will, but because holding on to anger and resentment only hurts me. She's no longer part of my life, and her happiness or unhappiness doesn't affect my future. What affects my future is the choice I make every day to trust Emily, to be honest with her, to build something real and lasting. It's the choice to learn from my past without being imprisoned by it, to let my experience with betrayal make me wiser without making me bitter. The story of my marriage to Jessica is over. It ended badly, with betrayal and lies and the destruction of everything I thought we had built together. But it's not the end of my story. It's just the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. This new chapter is about healing, growth, and finding real love with someone who deserves it. It's about learning to trust my instincts, to value honesty above all else, and to never settle for less than I deserve. It's about becoming the kind of partner I want to have, faithful, honest, committed to doing the hard work that real relationships require. As I close this story, I want to say something to anyone who has experienced similar betrayal. It's not your fault. You didn't cause your partner's infidelity by not being good enough, attractive enough, or attentive enough. Their choice to cheat was about them, not about you. And to those who might be tempted to cheat, please don't. If you're unhappy in your relationship, have the courage to be honest about it. End things properly before starting something new. The temporary excitement of an affair isn't worth the devastation it causes to people who trusted you. Love is possible after betrayal. Trust can be rebuilt. Hearts can heal. It takes time, work, and the right person, but it's possible. I'm living proof of that. Jessica chose deception. I chose healing. She chose betrayal. I chose to love again. We all have choices to make about who we want to be and how we want to treat the people who trust us with their hearts. I'm grateful for the hard lessons my marriage taught me, even though I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone. Those lessons made me who I am today, someone capable of recognizing real love when it comes along, someone strong enough to demand honesty and give it in return. The unexpected turn in my story wasn't just Jessica's betrayal, it was discovering that I could survive it and still believe in love. That may be the most surprising plot twist of all. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Maybe YouTube will no longer offer you my channel, so subscribe to it by clicking subscribe on the right under the video to receive new interesting stories. Also on the right of the video there is a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to, and you can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.